Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to do things like these bolts both on flat surfaces and on curved surfaces. So this is a Panzer 38T that I thought was a good example where there's a lot of these bolts on flat surfaces, but also these that go on these curved surfaces on the sides of the turret. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with a flat example. So I'm just going to create a basic little plate here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose essentially, like, say I want the bolts to border this build or this plate. So I'm going to set a construction, or not construction, I'm going to set a offset in here. And one thing for the method I'm using, I'm not sure if there's a better, well, there's probably a better way to do everything, but I'm going to use a composite curve, and that's not going to work well for the patterning with these like point edges. So I'm just going to do a really tiny fillet on each of the edges just to make the curve continuous. So when I do that, then I'm going to go to curves, composite curve, and that will be a guide curve now essentially. So then what I can do is I can just go and like make my bolt or what have you. This works for patterning really anything. So I have that, and then I just go to curve driven pattern, and then it's important that you click on the composite curve down here in the feature tree, otherwise it will just do like one edge. And then if I just set the number of bolts I want to do, so you can see that it just fills along that guide that I made. So there you go. You've got a panel with bolts along the perimeter. And then for another example, I'm going to create a curve, like a curved surface, and I'm going to do a kind of fancy one. So I'll just do a spline here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to create another spline just to have a continuous face. I'm going to go to surfaces. Might be an issue. I might have to adjust something, but we'll see if this does anything. Nope, that works. So I've got this kind of interesting surface here. So then what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to create my guide again. So if I do the offset, so I selected a plane, I do the offset. You can see that it's not on the surface, but that's okay, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to again fill up the edges, like so. Then I'm going to go to my curves, and I'm going to project the curve onto this surface. And I'm just going to do bidirectional. No, it doesn't need to happen. So there, I've got that curve, that guide curve now located on this fancy surface. And then what I want to do is I want to create the bolts. So I'm going to click on like an edge where I want one of the bolts. Like, so this is the location I want it, and then I click on the surface, and it'll be tangent. And I can go in here, and I can create my little geometry that I want to pattern around. So I'll just make the little bolt. And when you're doing, oh no, I don't want to do a surface, I want to do an extrude. And when you're doing something like with a curve, if you can see, like if I just extrude in one direction, it's going to kind of float off the surface at some points because of like the curvature, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a mid-plane just so it extends into the surface as well. And then what I'm going to do is the same sort of thing where I'm going to do a curve-driven pattern. I'm going to select this curve. Must be tangential, so I'm going to do, let's see. I might have made the fillets too small, but I'm going to try that. It seemed to work. So I wanted that to be a composite curve in that case. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that I have to be tangent to a surface, and then I'm going to grab the body of the bolts. You can see that the bolts are all aligned, so they're so what I'm doing here is there's tangent to curve, and then there's a face normal. So it will essentially, like, you know, there's a normal vector coming off of this surface that's aligned with this bolt, and what I'm doing is I'm making sure that the bolts align with all those normal vectors as you go around the panel. So then there I've got the bolts on this kind of fancy curved plate. And then in order to actually make this useful, I'm going to, there should be an option for thickening this, right? I don't do surfaces like this too often. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to just do an offset and then a boundary surface, or a boundary. It's probably, well, it's definitely not the best way to do it, but I'm kind of winging it right now. And I'm going to hide these two surfaces. And now I've got this kind of solid volume that is got the bolts on it. So quick video, but I thought it would be cool to show how I do those sort of features on my models. So yeah, I hope this was helpful, and thanks for watching.